gentlemen, and welcome to the regular meeting of the City of Del Rio City Council meeting, September 25th at 6 o'clock. If we can have roll call, please.
Councilmember Allian. Councilmember Littell. Here. Vice Mayor Park. Here. Mayor Edelman.
Here. I would ask Councilmember Littell if she would give us the honor of leading the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Pat. And next, I would ask Reverend Bob Helton of our very own Church of the Oaks if he would lead us in invocation.
Almighty God, please pour blessings on this city and on all the people in it. And may this meeting tonight accomplish great things for those people. Thank you for your presence here. Amen.
Thank you, Ryan. Much appreciated. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the most pivotal city council meetings we've had in years. Tonight, we swear in a new chief of police, an outstanding individual, one of the best police officers around, several new police officers themselves, and we appoint a new city council member to fill out the last 2 years of Councilmember Wayne Blood Buckley's term. So it's a very, very pivotal, very important, very celebratory meeting we're having this evening. So we'll start off, first of all, with a swearing-in ceremony for Jeffrey Hoyne, our chief of police. I'll turn it over to the city manager for some introductory comments.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor, Council, and the public, I can't overstate how much pride I have in our city team right now. After months and months of working, Chief Hoyne, Kim, Karen, Roberto, and myself, along with our city attorney working with the airport, developed a police services agreement that the council approved several weeks ago, an associated budget amendment, and a chief of police contract to employ Chief of Police Jeff Hoyne as the chief of police of the city of Delray Oaks. Mayor and Council, I just want to, your engagement throughout this process made this possible. Your leadership got us here. And tonight we get to celebrate by swearing in a phenomenal leader and chief of police as the chief of police of the city of Delray Oaks. We also get to promote one of our own, one of the best police officers I've had the honor to be associated with. And we get to swear in 2 officers that are new to our team and growing our department into the future. So with that, Mr. Mayor, I'm honored to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Dale. If the chief of police would join me on the dais, well there. Raise your right hand, repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Jeff Hoyne,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California.
and the Constitution of the State of
That
California,
I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United
and
States
the Constitution of the State of California.
and the Constitution of the State of California,
That I take this obligation freely,
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion.
or purpose of evasion,
That I will well and faithfully
that I will well and faithfully
perform the duties
perform the duties
of which I'm about to enter.
of which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
All right, thank you. I've just got a notebook full of remarks that I want to make.
You're not a politician, no 2 hours.
All right, just a few. As the city manager said, and as the mayor alluded to, this is more of a celebratory city council meeting than you'll normally see. And there's a lot of things to celebrate here in Delray Oaks, especially in the police department, but citywide as well. First and foremost, we're swearing in a couple of new officers. They're new to our team, they're new to our family, and we're very proud to have them here, including our first female officer ever in the history of the city of Delray Oaks. We're promoting a corporal, and a 12-year veteran of our department to sergeant. And we'll talk more about these people in just a little bit. And then finally, we're going to celebrate the start of our contract service agreement with the Monterey Regional Airport. So we went from being the smallest police department on the Central Coast to being the only contract law enforcement service provider for another jurisdiction, and doubling the size of our department almost overnight. I want to recognize a few people first. First, the citizens, those of you who are here and those of you who aren't here. It's readily apparent after 30 years in law enforcement that this city supports its police department. Probably like no other jurisdiction that I've ever worked in or city that I've had the opportunity to be involved with. The mayor and the city council, guidance, leadership, vision that they've given, not only to work with cooperative government with the airport district, but also for the smart governance that this decision makes in saving money and improving services, and to make this consolidation a reality. Thank you. The city manager, number one, for selecting me for this job, and giving me the opportunity to be a part of the Del Reyes team. Thank you, boss. It means a lot. Also, for your understanding that when I tried to explain complex budget consolidation processes, I used analogies involving chocolate bunnies and marshmallow peeps. So thank you for not putting me immediately on administrative leave and making sure I went for a fitness for duty examination. The deputy city clerks, Kim Carvello, Karen Manami, simply for everything. Your value to this city can't be overstated. I wish more people knew how hard we work for them. Public Works, our Public Works Department, for supporting the police department as we improve our facilities and our equipment. It's a team effort, and they work really hard to support us, and that's appreciated. The police department staff, many of the officers are in uniform, some are not in uniform. For being patient. For following through with what I asked, even when it seemed crazy, and even though the end result wasn't always easy to see, and even though they knew it was going to take a lot of work to get where we're at today. And finally, the last person I'd like to thank is Commander Chris Berkeley. 23-year veteran of this department who's dedicated his time, his effort, his blood, sweat, and tears to the citizens, the city council, and everyone involved in the city. I can't say enough about Chris, whether it's obtaining a confession from a suspect, including a conversation about a bag of mouse water in the back seat of a car. I've never heard that before. Or figuring out how to make the crazy ideas that I've come up with actually work. So thank you all. And now let's celebrate. First, I'd like to have Corporal Dan Union come up here. And we're going to give him the oath of office for sergeant. Now, I didn't memorize it like the mayor. So raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, David Union,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California.
that I take this obligation freely
I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter.
about which I am about to enter.
So, David's badge pinning is going to be conducted by his lovely wife, Naomi, and their child. Now, I'm going to get out of the way while he helps her. And as she's retrieving that first badge there for him, a couple of things when I thought about David as we're getting ready to pin his badge on, is number one, is he is widely loved and respected by the city staff and by the members of our community. The second thing I thought of was his commitment to this city and this department. He will run through a brick wall for any of you, and he's done it a couple of times. His reliability, anything I ask him to do, he will do without question and without hesitation to do a good job. And his sense of ethics. He's an honorable man, and I'm proud to have him as the first sergeant that I've been able to promote. So, and we do the honors.
Ouch.
All right. Because none of us are independent operators, and our wives contribute so much, especially in policing, to keep us working. I just want to give you this small token of appreciation, welcome you to the family again as the wife of this. All right.
Next, I would ask our newest two officers to come on up here. Noe Baza, Beatrice Pareda. You guys can stand right there. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go ahead and raise our right hands and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Noe Baza,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
and I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and I will well and faithfully
and will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter.
which are upon me of this.
So while we're getting ready to pin Beatrice's badge on her, her badge pinning will be by her boyfriend, Eddie Jimenez, who's an officer of the Mendota, California Police Department. So Eddie, welcome. It's nice to have a fellow officer here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So if you go ahead and grab her badge, I just want to say a couple of things about Beatrice. It's historic, our first female officer. She's an experienced law enforcement officer who came to us from the Livingston Police Department. While she was there, she ran their social media Facebook operation and was very involved in community policing. That's going to be one of her priorities here at the City of Del Rio, is helping us with our social media and our community outreach, and she's going to be one of our two officers that spearhead our community policing program. The other thing I'll say is her positive attitude. She hasn't worked here for 12 years, so I don't have a big list like I have for David. But she's hardworking, she's very intelligent, and her outgoing personality and her smile have really been a great contribution to our city, and I've already heard people commenting about her customer service and her community policing ways out in the field. She'll be finishing training soon, and hopefully, very shortly, at the early part of November, you'll see her on solo patrol here in the city. So Beatrice, thank you.
Thank you.
Eddie, take one. Eddie, we have flowers for you. No. Congratulations. badge pinning is going through badge by law. So, a couple of things about Noe. Some of you are saying that guy looks familiar. It's because Noe's been serving you at Safeway and has been part of our community for quite a while as one of the managers down at Safeway. Noe and I met soon after I came on board here at the city about a year ago, and he told me that he used to be a police officer, and we talked about our department here and the fact that we might be looking for reserve officers. And he expressed interest. He said he'd really like to get back in law enforcement. Because Noe was an officer about 15 years ago, and he's had a break in service. He spent several years with the Greenfield Police Department. So after talking and getting his application and reviewing it and deciding to do his background and see about hiring him on as a reserve officer, the one thing I will say, and I'll say more than one thing, but the one thing I'll say first is, this man is committed to being a professional police officer. He has volunteered his time even before we hired him to learn the city streets. We'd see him out driving around so that he understood how the streets were numbered and where the streets were and what the street names were. He rode along with several of our officers for entire shifts, getting to know how we operate, learning our operational procedures and our policies. He then was hired as a reserve officer, and I thought he was going to break my hand when he shook it, because he was so happy. A couple of weeks ago, I stopped in at Safeway after we had passed the services contract for law enforcement at the airport, and I knew that we needed to hire more officers. And I asked Noe how his training was going along in the field training program and how much more time he had. He said he just had a few more weeks. But as a matter of fact, he took 2 weeks of his own vacation to come out here and work full-time to train, to get his FTO program finished quicker, of his own time, on his vacation time. I said, okay, great. How about you do that 2 weeks, and when you're done with that 2 weeks, we bring you on as a full-time officer. And man, I'm tearing up right now because he started tearing up back. It just struck me.
Air conditioning.
But it struck me how happy he is to be here to serve. So, Laura, if you'll do the honors, and I know he took 2 weeks of vacation away from you, don't think too hard. Just jam it in there. It'll be fun. Mary, congratulations. Mayor, Steve Thompson, City Manager, thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Mayor, over to you.
Okay. Again, Chief, thank you for an outstanding presentation here with the police officers. This truly is a special day, one of the most special we've had in Del Rio for many, many years. So again, thank you, and thank you to you personally coming on board. Things just keep getting better and better in the city. And it's all because of the residents and our staff and everybody else, the elected officials as well. Okay, thanks again. Okay, next we have staff reports. Start off with the city manager report.
Okay, that's tough act to follow. Mayor and council, our public works staff continues to work diligently clearing brush and deadfall adjacent to the Oaks condominiums at the request of the Oaks Homeowners Association, reducing the fire danger there. Public works and staff are beginning to clear the creek near 218 at the Frog Pond and working their way down to Safeway in anticipation of the rains coming. And we continue to work closely with the airport district to complete construction of the RV park so we can move the RV storage lot from below City Hall here up onto the airport. There will be road work on the portion of Carlton that winds back through the estates in the early part of October. Monterey Peninsula Engineering will post notices to residences ahead of time. The street will only be completely closed for one day, but for the rest of the week it'll have traffic control and limited parking on it as they do some really important work. Staff continues to issue short-term rental permits and coordinate the transfer of RVs from our lot up to the new one at the airport. I want to thank the Citizens Action Group, and I know the mayor and council will talk about this more, and all the volunteers that made the city picnic possible. The city staff that were there were proud to participate and felt very welcomed indeed. A Callahan water main broke, you might have noticed, down by the Frog Pond in the wee hours of Thursday morning. Seaside Fire and DRO PD were first responders on the scene. Callahan crews eventually arrived and made the repair. There is some erosion damage there, and you'll see some cones and tape. Please avoid getting near there so no one falls into the creek and gets injured. Eventually, we'll be making those repairs, and Callahan will be footing the bill. I spoke with the city manager of King City regarding a draft agreement with KCCP. We're in the process of negotiating that agreement, and as soon as we have something ready, we'll bring it back for public review alongside PG&E and MCBC. We are holding weekly coordination meetings to facilitate the implementation of the police agreement on October 1st. The team is really working well together to put into place accounting procedures that will allow us a solid end-of-year audit on police expenditures. The training, hiring, and onboarding of our officers is proceeding on schedule. Any other questions I can please answer?
Thank you very much. Great report, as usual. Councilman Montiel?
Good evening. I attended the Community Human Services Board meeting, and there was excellent presentation on the Genesis House. And we approved a petty cash fund for the Substance Use Prevention Program. The Seaside Sanitation Board meeting was canceled, so I'm going to use that time to talk more about Del Rio Citizens Action Group. The picnic, we attended the Del Rio final meeting, finalizing everything for the plans for the picnic. And I attended the picnic. It was outstanding. It was the greatest one we've ever had. It was, there were just so many children and adults, and it was very special. And thanks to the many volunteers who've taken their time for the pleasure of their fellow residents. Our Mayor, Jerry Evelyn, provided assistance where needed and greeted the residents. And Dino, our city manager, couldn't make it, but his wife was here representing him. And Alex Lorca, our attorney, was here with his family. Scott Donaldson, George Jacksaw, David Kimball were here to set up tables and put covers over some of the tables for shade for the residents to enjoy their lunch. Barbara Kimball, Dorothy Souza, and Mary Ann Frapp spent the afternoon collecting for the lunch, the raffle tickets they were selling, and also the selling of the bags and the t-shirts. Claudia Campbell and City Council member Kristen Clark were helping wherever they were needed. Drew Webb and Ronaldo barbecued wonderful hamburgers and hot dogs. And Julie Webb, Sandy Shelby, Terry Neese worked all day with the sending of food. The DLI students were here and helped in many ways, setting up tables, helping with the food service and breakdown after the event. Would have been much more difficult without all their help, and we really appreciate their support. Sandy Shelby's table decorations were beyond belief. She decorated at least 20 pumpkins, and these were available for the attendees to take home. Terry Neese made the beautiful raffle baskets. Terry also organized the entire picnic, purchased the food, and made sure we had everything we needed. Our police department was well represented. Chief Jeff, Commander Chris, and 2 new officers, Beatrice and Noe, were there. For the kids, there was a bounce house, balloon man, face painter, a tractor to climb on. Right, Alex?
Absolutely.
And a lawnmower.
Alex's boys, you couldn't get them away from those. The fire department was represented by 2 trucks and many firefighters. How the kids do love the fire trucks climbing on them. They conducted their roll-up game and contest also. To top it all off, we had Frank Lucido's band performing during the event. They were great and they made it very festive. All this was possible due to the great organization and our leader of the Del Rio Citizens Action Group, David Kimball. Thank you, David. Thanks and more thanks to all of the above for all their hard work and their caring for their fellow residents. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. City manager has a comment to make.
Yeah, I'm sorry, just a quick, for all the families and kids that are here and everybody else who likes cake, afterwards we'll be celebrating with cake and punch with our police officers outside after the meeting.
I guarantee there's no calories at all in any cake. It's guilt-free cake. The next are our vice mayor.
I was going to add, since we're on the same subject, you covered everything, that was great. There was also a couple that came to the picnic that they just love Del Rey Oaks. They live right here on North Fremont Street, but they came to the garage sale, they found out about the picnic, and they want to be a part of this community. They can't afford a house here, and hopefully someday they will, because they really were a great contributor to the picnic. The other thing that there was a little dog that was so cute from the SPCA, and I don't know if it got adopted or not, but it was truly a therapy dog, and you really should go to the SPCA and try and find him, because he was pretty cute. I attended MST. We authorized $165,000 to build a mobility training center at 15 Lincoln Avenue, and inside the mobility training center is a simulated environment of the sidewalks and the curbs and pedestrian signals, and they even have a wheelchair lift. So people that are disabled, rather than using the MST rides, which is an unfunded mandate, we try to get them to use the regular buses and be a part of the whole regular bus system. So that was all paid for by Measure Q, the Measure Q sales tax, which is projects for services for seniors, veterans, and persons with disability. The other thing that we all approved was to adopt opposition to the California State Proposition 6. MST would lose about $3 million. We probably have about 35 to 40 bus drivers that would lose their jobs. And there's been public outreach, but all of them have passed, but there's still one more left on Monday, October 8th at the boardroom at MST if you want to make any comments about that. There's a new MST Writer's Guide out, and I received a 15-year pin. It's got 3 diamonds on it for my years of service with MST.
Our vice mayor joined MST when he was 5 years old. Okay, actually this month was pretty light as far as meetings, I couldn't believe. On September 1st, I attended the Meals on the Wheels fundraiser at the Jago Club. It was really nice. A great chance to get together with a lot of folks and raise some money for a very, very good organization. Then on September 5th, attended the building removal ceremony in Fort Worth. That was fun. And upholding the standards of Del Rey Oaks, all the elected officials were asked for a photo op. So we got next to this major concrete wall, brick concrete, and they were giving us sledgehammers. You know, golden sledgehammers, and they were taking pictures of us and so forth. So what do you think I did? Okay, grab the sledgehammer and start knocking the wall down. Smashing into it. And so what does all the elected officials do? They did the same thing. And the person in charge of the sledgehammers, we didn't know we weren't supposed to. You give us a sledgehammer, and so they're kind of freaking out, going, these are ceremonial. They were 16-pound sledgehammer. We had a great time. Thank God our city manager, he put a line item in the budget for bail bonds. So at least we're covered. It was a lot of fun. Every now and then you go to one of these functions, and we put Del Rey Oaks on the map. Great, of course, the 12th we had the special city council meeting. We approved the contract between our city and the Monterey Peninsula Airport. That's the David Foundation, what we're doing tonight. And then on 19th, a couple days ago, I attended the Monterey Peninsula Chamber of Commerce Leadership Luncheon every year. Go there, and what I try to do is make what's happening in Del Rey Oaks funny. And my vice mayor and Dino give me some ideas. I put together a humorous script in about 4 minutes. And if you've ever been to one of these things, we have 12 briefings, each 3 minutes. The one thing they don't give us are even butter knives, the diets, because they're so boring. Most the people will be sawing through their veins during a bunch of politicians going on. So by making it funny, I think we make an impact of all the great things we're doing in Del Rio and make it enjoyable for people to hear what we have to say. Pat already talked about the Del Rio community picnic. Only 2 comments I have. Number one, for the first time in 20 years of attending these things, we had our police department there en masse. Everybody was there. They were in uniform. They looked good. They were supportive. They were mingling with the public. This is the first time in 20 years we had that. It's a function of the leadership of the chief, the sergeant, and all the enthusiasm that we have in our department right now is over the top, and it was noticed and it was much appreciated. Thank you very much. The other thing I thought was real interesting, and I'm not saying there's a cause and effect relationship here, but again, our city attorney showed up with his entire family. Before he showed up, it was sunny, the birds were chirping. He showed up in his black overcast. He stayed there with his family, having a good time, and the entire time was overcast and miserable. He came up and said, "I've got to leave," and what happened the second he leaves? The sunshine comes out. I'm not saying there's a correlation. There was something there. So anyhow, but it was nice to see the city attorney and his entire family there, and that was very, very good. Again, yesterday I spent all morning at the Fort Ord Regional Authority Habitat Conservation Program workshop. Long meeting on possible implications if Fort Ord goes, if and when, or if it goes away in 2 years, what are the responsibilities for all the land use jurisdiction for this Del Rio is one. It's convoluted as heck. Next week, Friday at 2 o'clock, we're going to go into more detail with regard to specific responsibilities. Stay tuned. Dino is a member of the administrative committee. He's one of the key members there. I'm on the executive committee. We're trying to find out what's best for Del Rio. Do we want to go our own way and come up with some sort of a joint powers authority where we share the responsibilities and the funds? There's no clear answer right now. We're still investigating. We'll keep it really posted. Before any decisions made, it will be brought to the city council. It will be briefed in detail. It will be discussed, and the council will vote on whatever which way we want to go. So please stay tuned on that. Tomorrow, we have our monthly transportation agency for Monterey County meeting with the Measure X Safe Routes to School program we discussed. Measure X is bringing in $600 million over the next 30 years with matching funds. $1.6 billion is coming in here. So we've got some nice transportation funds coming in. You'll see major work on the roads over the next couple of years, including Del Rio. That's the end of my report. It was busy, but not as busy as it normally was. Okay, next we have the consent agenda. You've had a chance to read the consent agenda. Any member of the city council wishing to pull any items for question or discussion? Saying none, any member of the public wishing to pull any items for question or discussion? Saying none, back to the council. I entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve.
I second.
Any discussion of the motion? Saying none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you very much, council. Next, we have no old business. For new business, as for all, this is not a project per guidelines, Article 20, Section 15378 with regard to CEQA. We will now consider application for appointment to fill one vacant seat on the city council for the term ending 2020. Dino, do you have anything to say initially? Or do you want to go ahead? Okay. What we're going to do this evening is we will be appointing a council member to serve out Councilmember Lane Buckley's remaining 2-year term, 2 years of his 4-year term. He had to take a job up in North County, and his job is during the day. He can't serve out, so he's vacated his council seat. And basically, as we have a procedure in the Del Rio, every time there's a vacant council seat, we're going through the procedure, which I'm going to explain to you right now. We have 2 outstanding candidates who have submitted their applications for appointment for consideration, Louise Getzelt and Gary Krieger. They're both outstanding. Either one can do an outstanding job. Both candidates have indicated why they were qualified to serve on their application for appointment. The applications for appointment are members of the packet, and they're available to everybody. You've had a chance to read it before now. The procedure we'll use this evening we'll first hear from both candidates. They'll take the dais and they'll have 3 minutes to speak. Your city council will be provided the opportunity to make statements if they so desire. I'll I'll then go out to the public for any public statements. You'll have a chance to go to the podium and make a statement for up to 3 minutes. I'll then come back to the city council for any final discussion and or comments. The council will then vote via secret ballot. The ballots will be collected by the deputy city clerk and tabulated. Once the ballots are tabulated, they'll be announced by the deputy city clerk. The new city council member will be sworn in. Everyone has had the opportunity to read the application for appointment for both candidates. They're part of our packet. In addition, as you walk in on a table out there are numerous other letters that are submitted with regard to information as to why either candidate should be selected. And that's been provided to everybody to read prior to this time right now. Now, each candidate will have 3 minutes to address the council, present why they're the best candidate to be selected. We'll proceed as is our custom in alphabetical order. Ms. Getzel will address the council first. Ms. Getzel, if you come forth and you've got 3 minutes to address why you're the best member to be appointed by the council to the next 2 years.
Good evening. I have been a citizen of Delray Oaks since 1992. I've not lived here that entire time. I was gone for 17 years as part of my 34 years of military service. When I was gone, I kept my residency. I voted in all the elections in Delray Oaks. I paid my property taxes, and I considered myself a citizen of Delray Oaks. As I stated, I spent 34 years in the U.S. Army as a felony investigator. My final tour of duty was at Fort Lewis, Washington, where I provided oversight, development, and implementation of policies, objectives, and initiatives for investigative operations. Over 500 investigators in 34 offices across the western United States, Korea, and Japan. I'm familiar with the functions of local government entities, cities, counties, and agencies, especially since I served on the Monterey County Civil Grand Jury and on the Delray Oaks Planning Commission. I currently serve as a Code Enforcement Appeals Review Officer for the City of Delray Oaks. I'm involved in numerous military and veterans organizations, locally as well as on a national level. I have a Master's of Science in Administration. Delray Oaks is a great place to live. I love living here, but it cannot be allowed to stagnate. Sustainable maturing of the city through sensible use of fiscal and natural resources is my feeling on how we need to not stagnate, to grow. Balancing the record, I also live, like I stated, in the Oaks. And the Oaks has never been represented, as far as I know, on the city council. We're a part of the city, yet we're around the corner and kind of hidden. And I feel that my representation on the city council will help balance the city. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Getzel. Okay, next we'll hear from Mr. Krieger.
Mayor and City Council, thank you for considering my appointment to the City Council. I've been fortunate enough to have lived in Delray Oaks for the last 15 years. It was very rewarding to raise my family here, and it is a true pleasure to be part of such a diverse and unique community. I've enjoyed serving on the Planning Commission for the last year, and was proud to be named Monterey County Better of the Year in 2017 in recognition of my community service. Most of my 25 years in the Navy was in carrier aviation, where teamwork becomes instinctive. Executing missions in naval aviation involves coordinating between a myriad of competing interests and priorities. I proved quite successful for this over the years. My last assignments were in the Navy were as the Computer Science Department Program Officer at the Navy Postgraduate School, and as the Program Manager for the Supercomputer System, POPS, at Fleet America. As the POPS Program Manager at Fleet America, I was responsible for drafting and executing a multi-million-dollar budget for the computer system running all the Navy's forecasting. These endeavors have prepared me well for a seat on the City Council. However, another significant factor to consider is that while I do not agree with every position Lane had, he and I were fairly closely aligned on most issues. Out of respect for the voters who elected Lane to the council, I think that it's important for his replacement to have a similarly progressive outlook. To do otherwise is to circumvent the will of voters. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Greer. Get back to the council, any comments by members of the city council this time? Seeing none, back out to the public. Any members of the public wishing to make any comments about either one of the candidates? If so, you've got 3 minutes. If you would please state your name and your rough address, legally for the record, please.
Is over there?
Yes, please.
I'm used to going over there.
The Del Rio Physical Fitness Program, we had to write that.
Yes. First of all, I really want to thank both of our candidates today for applying to fill the city council position that Lane Buckley left. It takes a lot of time and energy to support our city and our citizens, so I really appreciate that you both stepped up to do this. And I know personally that Gary Krieger will vote on issues as a council member the way I would. I also know that Lane Buckley was elected and not appointed, and of course I understand the procedure. And the citizens of the city, people that elected Lane to the city council voted for him to represent our views. And I know that Gary will represent my interests in matters including public safety, development and growth, access to cheaper renewable energy, transportation, and the environment. I think the right thing to do is to appoint the candidate that most represents the way Lane Buckley, our elected departing council member, would, which was on an issue-by-issue basis. As a council member, I felt that Lane weighed out each of the issues in an unbiased fashion with reason and careful consideration of ramifications for the citizens' safety, health, well-being, and quality of life here, because we do love living here. He always explained his thinking, speaking to issues rather than to people, party, or special interests. So I hope that tonight, the mayor and our elected city council members will do the same in this case, to put the democratic process and the clear wishes of the citizens of Delray Oaks above any personal interests, partisan politics, or projects that have not yet been made transparent to the people of the city. Really thank you very much for hearing what I have to say, and I hope that each of you does what is the ethical democratic choice and nominate the person who most represents what people in this city have expressed that they want through our votes and public comments at city council meetings. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next speaker, please.
Forgot to add, Portola Drive, Alexis Button. Thank you.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Name and where you live.
Hi, I'm Arnold Grossman. I live up in Paloma. Been here in Delray Oaks for about 29 years. And there's something disturbing that happened recently at the Homeowners Association meeting in the Oaks. That this information was given to me by a resident there. They had about a week ago, they had a Homeowners Association meeting. I think it was on September 18th. And Jerry Erwin was invited, Pat Patel, John Gagliotti, who are 3 of the 4 candidates for political office, and they were asked to speak. They were agendized for about 10 minutes, but they talked for about 45 minutes. There was an endorsement sheet for Mayor Edelin passed around, and the other candidate for mayor was not invited, Allison Curtin. Afterwards, the president of the Homeowners Association, Ms. Gasso, went door to door with Jerry and John, and the president was introducing herself as the Homeowners Association president and giving out candidate literature for Jerry and John. So this whole thing gives the appearance of a quid pro quo where they are given special treatment, some of the current office holders, and it may be influencing their selection for the city council member. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker, please.
Can I ask a quick question?
It's a comment on it, no questions.
I have a comment to read by someone else. Can I take 3 minutes for that comment and then 3 minutes for my own?
Just 3 minutes per speaker.
meeting, so I'm asking someone to represent me by reading this letter. As I'm reading this person's letter, my name is Kim Shirley of the Phone Master. I'm an Oaks condo resident, and I'm writing to express my concern regarding Louise Gazelt's proposed appointment to the vacancy left by Councilmember Buckley. Ms. Gazelt has been on the condo board for some time and is currently the board president. As a board member, I have found her to have difficulty with differing opinions and also with people who need extra time to catch up to the present moment. This is an important skill. As meeting attendees, we've all felt that frustration when someone is a newcomer and needs extra time, or when someone doesn't agree with our opinion. But how this is handled is very important. Everyone should be heard respectfully and included, even if they're a newcomer. This is not my impression of Ms. Gazelt's. When there is a difference in opinion or a person who has, quote, missed the memo, so to speak, she is often dismissive and autocratic. Even though we are a small town, we are diverse enough to need someone who can skillfully negotiate differences of opinion so that all parties feel their concerns have been addressed and who can bring people up to speed inclusively. It is one of the advantages of being a small town, and I would like to see it amplified, not diminished. I do not believe Ms. Gazelt's currently possesses this skill. A concerned Oaks resident. I am not signing my name for fear of retribution, which tells you something. I want to say that I really support Gary Krieger for council member Buckley's position. I've known him for 15 years, the whole time he's been here. He's approachable, he's thoughtful, he's smart, he's a critical thinker, he believes in science, he believes in doing what's best for Delray Oaks. In the last 2 weeks, I've been canvassing for Allison Kerr over at the Oaks, and I've been astounded at the conversations that I've had with residents. Over and over again, I heard residents talk about the president of their HOA board, Ms. Gazelt, and how they are not comfortable approaching her with issues. They try and avoid her for fear of confrontation. They repeatedly mentioned her bully-like tactics and didn't feel that she would be willing to listen to their concerns. Some residents even mentioned to me that she'd been going around and telling residents that she was going to be the next Delray Oaks City Council member. How would she know this, I wonder? Could it be she's already aligned with the current council and is planning to blindly follow along with the mayor's wishes? What about transparency and working for all the citizens of Delray Oaks, and not just the four that are on the council? Needless to say, I'm extremely hoping that she's not chosen.
Thank you, Mel. Next speaker, please.
I have 4 people that I would like to talk about that couldn't come, but first I would like to say, I love that little dog, and I wish my wife would have let me have it, but I've been married to her for 50 years, so. Okay, my name is George Jackson. I live at 1130 Rosita Road, been a resident here for 63 years. Both applicants are prior military. I really like that. Military always seems to have their head above the water and make the right decisions. Both have been on or served on the planning commission. I think that's an extremely big plus. It's nice for people to start at the bottom and work their way up rather than getting their feet wet rather than jumping into ocean politics. With the exception of Louise, we've always tried to draw out the Oaks into the fold of the city, and in the social events or with the government. With the future development of Fort Ord, I would think that it would be a good idea to have a representative from the Oaks and get their opinion on a lot of stuff. And so with that being said, I would think that Louise would be the logical and best choice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker, please. Any other speakers with regard to the two candidates? Seeing none, the public comment period is closed. Just one comment. We live in a country where there's a First Amendment right to say whatever you want to, and when you're up there, you can say basically anything you want. All I can say is some of the comments you heard tonight were not accurate, they were downright false. In fact, they're totally made up as far as I'm concerned. So when you hear something, that's fine. Everybody has the right to say what they want to, but always question when you hear something or try and get some sort of secondary source as to information that you hear. Enough said. Okay, if you bring this back to the City Council, any comments by members of the City Council?
I would like to just say thank you to both candidates for coming forward and wanting to serve the city. And I thought it was very interesting that both of you have served on the planning commission. So thank you for that service.
I also would like to thank you both for submitting your resumes, and I too agree with George. I like the military aspect of it because I think that is very good training, and I think it's very good. I enjoyed hearing from both of you. Thank you again.
I'll second, actually third what's been said. We have two highly qualified candidates. It's unfortunate we can only choose one of the two. Whoever's chosen, fine. Of course, it's not chosen, I would encourage them to apply again in the future to try and serve this city as much as they possibly can. Okay. That closes the comments. If the council members would mark their ballots, choose one, sign it, and date it. And there's the deputy city clerk who can come by and collect.
The candidate receiving the most votes is Louise Getzel.
You're ready to go ahead. I state your name.
I, Louise Getzel,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
to uphold. It's been a long time. I have no more. That I will support and defend
that I support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California.
and the Constitution of the State of
That I
California.
will bear true faith
That I will bear true faith
and
and
allegiance
allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United
and
States
the Constitution of the State of
and
California.
the Constitution of the State of California.
That I take this obligation freely
I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion.
or purpose of evasion.
That I will well
That I will well
and faithfully discharge
and faithfully
the
discharge
duties upon
the duties upon
which
which
I'm about to enter.
I am about to enter.
Congratulations. Please, if you want.
Where's my first?
Okay. Again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your public testimony on that. We have two great candidates. There's pros and cons for both. And again, I hope Mr. Krieger applies in the future. He's done an outstanding job on the planning commission, and he was Citizen of the Year as well. Okay, next we have public comment period for any item not on the agenda. You may address this council on any item that hasn't been discussed on the agenda this far. You got 3 minutes. Anybody wishing to address the council? Please.
Just tonight, but I'll see what we'll drive. Had a very trivial day to talk about, and all this momentous stuff. I'd like to say that when the street sweeper comes by like 5 or 6 in the morning, when the streets are lined up with cars, but if they came between 9 and 3, say, there's a lot more access to the debtors. And you wouldn't get charged for it.
They can't hear you.
Well, I've done it. Repeat it all?
No.
What Beth is saying is that when the street sweeper comes by, the cars are in the parking places, and that we really can't sweep the streets with regard to having cars there, so she's trying that. Also, I'll be going door to door, and we've had complaints also that the street sweeper is not sucking up the dirt, just spraying it all over the place. So we're notifying the company that's doing that, telling them to get their act together and change their time so we can get our streets a little cleaner. Any other members of the public wishing to address the council?
Well, yeah, I want to congratulate all the new policemen and what a wonderful police department we have. It's fantastic. It's amazing how well it works compared to what it used to be. So, thank you, everybody.
Yeah, it takes a double the size of the police department to keep you under control here.
All right, back again, not for myself, your frequent, I am reading a statement on behalf of Nicole Bulick, 16 Portola, who is unable to be here. She has a event at her high school where she teaches tonight. So she asked me to, she sent this and asked me to read it. Mayor and City Council, I recently submitted a California Records Act request pertaining to the DRO Monument RV Resort Development meetings. I was in possession of the agenda for the 08 August meeting from a previous CRA request. I specifically asked for the minutes of that meeting and the agendas and minutes of the scheduled meetings in 2017 and any subsequent meetings in 2018. I received back no minutes and no additional agendas. It stretches belief to the breaking point to assert that a meeting attended by the mayor, the city manager, the head of FORA, the members of the East Duffy and Associates and developers was held and that no minutes were recorded. As to the scheduled follow-up meetings for which no agendas and meetings were provided, I can only refer to California Government Code 54952, which states, quote, standing committees of a legislative body, irrespective of their composition, which have a continuing subject matter jurisdiction and a meeting schedule fixed by charter, ordinance, resolution, or formal action of the legislative body or legislative bodies for the purposes of this chapter. End quote. This definition for standing committees is applicable even if less than a quorum of the main legislative body are involved. I am definitely not a lawyer, but talking only about the Monument RV Resort development in meetings sure seems like be a continuing subject matter. And monthly meetings on the second Tuesday of every month sure seems like a fixed schedule. I'm asking for a public explanation as to why these meetings do not constitute a standing subcommittee subject to the full noticing and reporting as required by the Brown Act. If the meetings were not held, then it should be stated publicly and there will be no issue. If, however, the meetings are being held and given to public review, that speaks directly to the continuing issue of lack of transparency in our city's being run.
Thank you, sir. Any other members of the public wishing to address the council? Going once? Okay, public comment period is closed. We have no closed session this evening. Next meeting date will be Tuesday, October 23rd at 6 o'clock. Thank you all for showing up. We have a party right now out there in the hall. Again, there are no calories in the cake or the drink whatsoever. Enjoy yourself. Special day. We're adjourned.